Glimpses of India. The first part is A Baker from Goa by Lucio Rodriguez. A Baker from Goa. This is a pen portrait of a traditional Goan village baker who still has an important place in his society. It talks about the character of the Goan baker, village baker, and who holds an important position in the society. Our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days. Reminiscing nostalgically means thinking fondly of the past. So, our elders are often heard thinking fondly of the past about those good old Portuguese days. The Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished. The people, the Portuguese who used to eat those loaves of bread, are no more. But we still have amongst us the mixers, the molders, and those who bake the loaves. The people who used to make the loaves and the things with which they made the loaves of bread are still there. Those age old, time testing furnaces still exists. The fire in the furnace has not yet been extinguished. That means the furnaces are still being used. The third of the jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo, that means when the baker used to come, at that time he used to say, bang his baker's bamboo, and with that say the jingles were tied and that the bells were tied and the jingle of that could be heard, heralding his arrival in the morning. Heralding means announcing an approach of the baker. So when the baker used to come, he used to bang his um, bamboo with the bells, and the jingle of the bells, the third of the bamboo stick, could still be heard, and that announced that the baker is approaching. Can still be heard in some places. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries on the family profession. Means the father baker who was there may not be there now, but the son has still continued with the same profession. These bakers are even today known as poder in Goa. During our childhood in Goa, the baker used to be our friend, companion, and guide. When the author lived there in Goa, at that time the bakers were used to be their friend, their companion, and guide. He used to come at least twice a day. Once when he set out in the morning on his selling round, and then again when he returned after emptying his huge basket. That means they used to carry the loaves of bread in their huge basket, and when they went for a round at that time, once they came, and the second time when they returned, the jingling third of his bamboo woke us up from the sleep, and we ran to meet the great and greet him. Why was it so? Now, why did we go to meet the um, baker on listening to the third of his bamboo? Was it for the love of the loaf? Not at all. The loaves were bought by some Pescine or Pestine, the maid servant of the house. So the job of buying the loaves was done by Pescine or Pestine, who were the maid servants in the house. What we longed for were those bread bangles which we chose carefully. So it was not for buying the loaves that they woke up on the jingle or third of the bamboo of the baker, but it was to have the bread bangles. And these bread bangles were carefully chosen by the children. Sometimes it was sweet bread of special make. Sometimes these bread bangles were made of, say, sweet bread, and that was specially made on some occasions, not always. The baker made his musical entry with that jingle and the third of the bamboo on the scene with the jang jang sound of his specially made bamboo staff. Staff is a stick. One hand supported the basket on his head and the other banged the bamboo on the ground. We would greet the lady of the house with good morning. So the baker would greet the lady of the house with good morning and then place his basket on a vertical bamboo. We kids would be pushed aside with the mild rebuke and the loaves would be delivered to the servant. Rebuke is an expression of disapproval or scolding. So the children would be driven away, would be scolded so that they stay away from the baker, and the baker would deliver the uh, loaves of bread to the servant of the house. But we would not give up. So, though the um, children would say, go close to the baker, and he would scold them and drive them away, but they would not give up. They would still be around him. We would climb the bench or a parapet and peep into the basket. Somehow, I can still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves. Loaves for the elders and the bangles for the children. This is what, say, the author still recollects or remembers. When we did not even care to brush our teeth to wash our mouths properly, and why should we? Who would take the trouble of plucking the mango leaf from the toothbrush? That is how they used to brush their teeth with the toothbrush that was made from the mango leaf. And who would care to do that? Who would take the trouble? And why was it necessary to brush the teeth after all? Because the tiger never brushed his teeth. Hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after all. So these were the things in with which say the baker is introduced. We have now have a clear picture of what the baker used to do and the role that he played. Now let us talk about the importance of the baker. Marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread known as the ball, just as the party or a feast loses its charm without bread. In a party or a feast, if there is no bread, then the party or the feast loses its charm. In the same way, the marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread, which was known as ball. Not enough can be said to show how important a baker can be for a village. That means, how much ever we say about the importance of the baker to the village, it's less. The lady of the house must prepare sandwiches on the occasion of her daughter's engagement. So when the daughter is getting engaged at that time, the lady of the house have to prepare sandwiches on that occasion. Cakes and bolinas are a must for Christmas as well as other festivals. On Christmas and on other festivals, say cakes and bolinas were prepared. So this was something that was a bakery item that was prepared every time. Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential. The baker or bread seller of those days had peculiar dress known as kabai. It was a single piece long frock reaching down to the knees. This is the thing that the baker used to wear in those days. Then it's called kabai. And what is this kabai? A single piece long frock reaching down to the knees. In our childhood, we saw bakers wearing a shirt and trousers which were shorter than full length ones and longer than half pants. This was the length of the trouser. It was shorter than full length trouser and it was longer than the half pants. Even today, anyone who wears a half pant which reaches just below the knees instead of invites the comment that he is dressed like a podder. Podder was a baker. That's what he was, say, locally known. So anybody who is wearing a pant that reaches the knees is said to have dressed like a podder. Podder means a baker. The baker usually collected his bills at the end of the month. Monthly accounts used to be recorded on some wall in pencil. Baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days. The baker and his family never starved. He, his family, and his servant always looked happy and prosperous. Their plump physique means pleasantly fed body, was a public statement about the character or quality, means it was a proof of their being wealthy. Even today, any person with jackfruit like physical appearance is easily compared to a baker. So that's all about the baker of Goa, Goan village baker. Go through the unit and try to solve these questions. Thank you.